The 1950s were an era in which the science fiction genre of movies saw a drastic thematic shift. Prior to this, monsters would come from the sea, from deep within the earth, or from the void of outer space. But after the discovery of the first atomic bomb, and the realization of the after effects of what said bombs were capable of, humanity began to fear an entirely new threat, one that we were responsible for. This was the birth of the atomic monster, and while Godzilla is typically the poster child for this type of creature, it actually began with a movie released 1 year earlier, 1953's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Based off a short story by Ray Bradbury that's now known as The Foghorn, 20,000 Fathoms tells the story of a nuclear bomb test in the Arctic codenamed, wait for it, Operation Experiment. I want to know how much the dude that named that got paid. Anyway, this experiment wakes up a very pissed off prehistoric monster that proceeds to rampage its way from the Arctic all the way to New York while scientists try to figure out what it is and how to stop it. To make matters worse, this prehistoric menace is also the host of an ancient plague that spreads where it goes. Weirdly relevant by today's standards. The leads in 20,000 Fathoms do a fine job, but I mean, it's nothing extraordinary. It's your very standard monster movie acting, complete with a half-assed romance between Paul Hubschmid and Paula Raymond. Because it's a classic American film, and every classic American film needed a romance in there somewhere, even if it doesn't make sense. But this movie's true hero, true unsung hero, and the main reason it's still remembered to this day was Ray Harryhausen. Harryhausen is a man who needs no introduction. If you're a fan of film, you know who he is. Having worked for years with the previous pioneer of stop motion effects and the creator of King Kong, Willis O'Brien, Harryhausen would go on to make some of the most iconic and memorable monsters in film history, and dare I say that the Rhedosaurus may just be one of his best. Every shot of this monster, god damn. There's a reason Harryhausen is considered a master in this field. When it first appears in the Arctic, partially shrouded by harsh snow and wind, today you could easily pull this shot off with CG, but they didn't have that luxury back in '53. Having to animate this thing, frame by frame, while also needing it to interact with a blizzard and the actor. If someone told me to recreate this scene the exact same way he did it today, I'd be like Patrick Star with a nail in his head, just like, it's me. The scene where the creature attacks a lighthouse while silhouetted in darkness made me so erect that I could break diamonds. And it's basically just a tasty little morsel leading up to one of the most impressive displays of special effects I've ever seen. The scene in which an octopus fights a tiny shark inside what is clearly a fish tank. Okay, so this is probably the only scene that really didn't need to be in there. I feel like the director Eugene Laurier just happened to have that footage and thought, production value, my man. Anything for production value. The standout sequence is easily the monster's attack on New York. You gotta remember that at the time, most B monster movies had maybe a few extras, but 20,000 Fathoms legitimately feels like a film. The amount of extras in this sequence really adds to the scale, and this is where Harryhausen's work truly shines. The fact that the dude had to animate, by himself, this monster crashing through a building frame by frame and it looks this smooth, so many other people would have cut corners, like cut away just before the monster goes through the building. But nope, not Ray. Ray was just the goat. He even added in small details that really help sell that this is a real animal. The scene where it steps on a car and then pulls back but then just slaps it away, only to end up dragging it under its tail out of frame, is such a subtle touch, but it's only something Harryhausen would think to do. One of my favorite moments in this entire movie is when this cop walks up to the monster like he's Chuck Norris or some shit with his tiny little pistol thinking he's all that. Oh no! The finale is even more impressive, with the Rhedosaurus being trapped inside a burning roller coaster. I mean, would you look at that shit? So goddamn good! To call 20,000 Fathoms an influential film would be a horrible understatement. It was the first of the monster movie genre to use the atomic bomb as its catalyst, ultimately leading to the atomic age of science fiction, not to mention directly influencing the creation of Godzilla. Hell, the original working title name for Godzilla was The Giant Monster from 20,000 Miles Under the Sea. Come on. Which is ironic, because the American Godzilla in 1998 seems to take more from 20,000 Fathoms than it does from the original Godzilla. The scene where the monster first makes landfall at the New York harbor, same as Godzilla in 1998. The military standing off against it in downtown New York at night, same as Godzilla. The rampage sequence where the Rhedosaurus stomps through New York while citizens flee, Godzilla. That movie really should have just been a remake of this. While not the most compelling plot, Harryhausen's work here is stunning and just an absolute joy to watch. Without this humble stop-motion prehistoric puppet, who knows? Monster movies today may have been very different. I adore 20,000 Fathoms, and while Godzilla completely overshadowed it in the end, it's important not to forget where we came from. As always, thank you to my lovely patrons here. I hope you enjoyed my review / little mini retrospective on the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. If you want to join the Patreon, you can do so. Links in the description down below. $1 a month. You get access to exclusive videos that are not on here. I will see you guys in the next video.